playing music right now. Probably wasn't supposed to talk.
Yeah, talking right now is the bad part. Hey everybody, my name is Brian Trendler. Welcome to LAF Tech. This is the podcast series where we not only cover things about humor, how we do it, how we want you to do it, but we also interview previous keynote presenters like the lovely and stylish Jim Kellner.
Hey, that's me. That's right. I was a lovely presenter.
We also have co-founder Marcelle Allen here, so say hello, Marcelle.
Hello, Marcelle.
Very good.
We should let people know, too, that Marcelle was a formerly unfunny person and became funny thanks to her work in trying to become funnier.
Exactly. Okay. So, so Jim, what we do here for the podcast is we take about 15 minutes and ask a couple questions just to kind of find out a little bit more about you. Of course, we know, but the audience doesn't always know. And at the same time, we're going to hit you at the very end with the famous 3 questions that every one of our keynote presenters get. Yeah, so you don't know what those are, of course. Those are going to be completely improv-based. And, of course, the whole point of view is just to have fun and, give us a little bit of history here. So for those who don't know Jim Kellner, tell us about yourself, what you do, what type of career you have.
Well, as many of you know, I am a nude model for Abercrombie & Finch.
With a body made for radio.
With a body made for radio. It doesn't pay as well as you might think.
That's true, yeah.
All right, I'm going to let you all tune in later. So tune in. I'm going to post the link later. Goodbye for now. Thanks, everybody, for watching. That was just Facebook Live. Sorry, we were doing that. What was your question again?
The question is simply, for those of you, or those people listening, which is about 3.5 people that don't know about Jim Kellner, tell us what you do, what your career is.
Okay, I'm a comedy stage hypnotist, and I'm a hypnotherapist and an actor. And speaker.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And give me the nut as far as what you do for entertainment. What does Jim Kellner, and remember this is the family show,
right?
When Jim wants to go out and have fun, what do you do for entertainment? What do you look for?
Well, I do watch a fair amount of live comedy.
Okay.
What do I do for entertainment? That's a great question. I probably need to do more for entertainment.
Okay. So for anyone leaving comments on the podcast, maybe they could suggest some local venues,
right.
Maybe petting zoos, anything along those lines that, Jim could start to frequent.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Now, you split your time between 2 states.
Yeah.
Tell us why the hell you do that.
Because I lived in Washington for 20 years.
Okay.
And I got so tired of the rain and the gloom that I couldn't stand it anymore. And so I left, and so I moved to Arizona, where it's nice and warm, a little too warm right now, but I miss my kids a lot, so we're both grown, so I'm not abandoning them or anything. So I have 2 boys, and
attached to a radiator back in the apartment.
Exactly. So I come back frequently to see them. In fact, I spent, for some crazy reason, I spent the winter up here, 4 months of it, which was insane. Yeah.
Now, you say that you spent 20 years in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, famous for being able to pick any direction, 2 hours, you're in a whole other environment. Yep. Why couldn't you have just self-hypnotized yourself into liking it?
That's an excellent question. In fact, I did use hypnosis for a long time just to up my mood. I used to go through really terrible bouts of depression, partially because of the weather, seasonal affective disorder. And one of the things I did about 6 years ago is I was in a really bad, depressed state and started using hypnosis, also exercising, eating better, which helps a lot too, folks. So that helped me a lot, but it just wasn't enough. Plus, I'm just happier in the sun. Yeah, I grew up in California, and I like being warm.
Well, plus Twinkies do not stay hard in milk; they actually lose some of that viscosity for a breakfast choice. So better choices. Little hypnosis, I can understand how that helps. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I mentioned at the beginning of this that we were really lucky to have you. As far as we're concerned, you might have felt cursed, or maybe you were just bored that day. We had you as one of the keynotes at really our second LAF Tech, which is it's like almost 2 years ago now, which is just crazy to think. So we had you and Jeffrey Robert on stage, if you will, in front of an audience of 40 plus people.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think you contributed, which is not a trick question, and using this sign here, which again is great for podcasting because everybody can see it.
Right.
Tell us what type of humorist do you consider yourself when it comes to using those 6 methods, which are scene, sound, story, sequence, sensation, and silly? Silly being sort of the, hey, you've graduated and you're good at doing all of these, and or some form of a combination. What do you think you bring to the table in regard to your style of humor?
Well, I would say I believe I use story and sequence. And really, like, because I've come out to a LAF Tech Mini before and was trying to integrate more parts of this. So I would love to get more into using scenes and sounds and sensations. But right now, I just basically do story and sequence, I think. I don't even do funny voices.
Okay.
Now I know. No. Was that funny? I don't know. That sounded like Corky.
What was that?
I don't know. See, I'm terrible at it. I need to come to more minis.
Well, that's what we practice.
We're always available.
Shouldn't practice live. Okay. You asked me what I contributed.
Yeah.
I think I was able to give people some good tangible tips on how to be funnier, and so things like paying attention to funny. You got to write it down. Or put it in your phone or whatever, because if you don't, then you'll forget it.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's fleeting.
Absolutely gone. And I think really that's one of the biggest differences between people that do comedy type stuff on a regular basis and regular people, because funny stuff happens to everybody all the time if you're just looking for it and if you record it. So I think it's one. And of course, I did some jokes that I hadn't done for several years. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah. I actually agree 100% with what you're saying, because I personally think that one of your biggest contributions was the fact that you are a storyteller. You absolutely are. I'll never forget the joke/story that you laid into when you were talking about, I believe it was a girlfriend mountain hike type of scenario. Ponies or donkeys or whatever were involved. I know this sounds like an Enum Claw story, but it's not. It was just one of those things where you were talking about, frankly, your weight at the time and all that type of stuff, and trying to impress the girlfriend and being all Lone Ranger-esque, and it ended up being you just being very alone-esque.
Yes. I was too fat to ride a horse, folks. That was the punchline. Did you know that's possible? I mean. It's so weird because you think, I remember from Bonanza, Haas was a big, but I guess he was as big as I was at that time. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. They don't grow them like they used to, apparently, as far as horses.
Well, I actually looked it up later. I looked up, and there's a law in some states, and in fact, in Texas, the rider cannot weigh 25% more than the horse.
Wow.
So if a horse is 1,000 pounds, 250 is the max.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I should always stay off equines. Okay. All right. So tell the audience how you learn. Are you a practicer? Do you just focus on developing one area of your skill and just deliver? Or how do you practice humor as your craft when you're up on stage? Whether you're doing more of a comedy angled gig or more of a hypnosis-based gig. Because again, for the record, as you know, I've been hypnotized by you.
Right.
I dirty danced.
Right.
I raised the most money at the charity. I didn't know these hips could do that, but I don't remember any of it either. So, you're a funny presenter in that sense when you're guiding people through. Again, I'm assuming, but I have watched your videos.
Yes, you've seen yourself.
You're doing good stuff. I mean, how do you learn and practice that?
I wish I was more methodical about it, to be honest with you. I don't rehearse nearly enough. I don't practice jokes enough. I don't write enough. And the problem is I'm very good at thinking on my feet, and so I just like in college, I can just put it off to the last minute, and I know it'd be better because here's the thing: when I do rehearse, I get a lot more stuff out of it. I'm like, oh, that's funny and that's funny. So I've been integrating more of that, time of just rehearsing and actually writing jokes and coming up with stuff. Because I'm not, in fact, I just did open mic the other night, and I was like, I'm just going to come up with some ideas and then try to be funny. And it really it was pretty disappointing, to be honest.
For you or the audience?
Both.
Okay. Well, and in all fairness, that seems like a fair question to ask, because I have talked to comedians who feel that they've just absolutely bombed a set, and yet the audience was laughing the whole time. So
well, there was some laughter. There was some laughter. There was definitely some laughter. But some of the things that I thought were funny just didn't get much. They need to be punched up a little bit, which is normal for an open mic. I mean, that's the way it goes. But there's some comics that go out there and they just go up with an idea and then they just kind of flesh it out there. But it just, I don't know. But I'm very much a global thinker, so I mean, I just sort of dive into things, and which is to my detriment oftentimes, and also drives some people crazy around me because they're like, "What? Why didn't you just study this more?" Something. I don't know. I don't want to study. I want to just jump in, start doing it, and then figure things out as I go.
So, do you consider yourself an improv speaker then, even though you've admitted to writing things down and practicing and
I do both,
and turning and burning those?
I do both.
Okay.
Now, especially like for my show, my actual comedy hypnosis show, I have it word for word written.
Sure.
I don't do it word for word, but I have every single thing written. But part of that process is to set up the hypnosis, and so part of that is trying to get people in a place where they're more open to the hypnosis and explain some things about hypnosis as well.
Very cool. All right, you ready for the next question?
I am.
Okay, so whether it's from the humor standpoint or from your career as a professional hypnosis, helping people through a series of things, whether serious or even light, no weight loss joke or anything intended there for those who go to you for that type of thing. Tell us what you're working on. What type of projects do you have going on right now? This is plug gym time, which sounded better in my head.
Now this is okay. So it's gonna sound. It'll sound like I'm making a joke, but really, what I'm working on right now is going worldwide.
Okay.
So I have people like I was just telling Marcelle, I literally worked with a guy in France yesterday, over Facebook Messenger, and it's amazing. It's freaking cool to be able to just look at him and just say sleep, and he's out. I'm sorry if you fell asleep, people. And so, but I've always wanted to travel, and so I've been branching out. I'm going across the country right now. I've got in the works to get my passport, and I really just want to do that. And I want to get on TV. I want to get on radio. That's what I'm trying to. That's what my focus is right now.
That's really cool. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, if you're talking to a guy in France over Skype or Facebook Live, whatever, he sees you, you see him, you tell him to sleep, he falls down or something like that. Do you have like a safe word built in that's automatically going to wake him up, or is he screwed? Is he in like another part of the world, and they're going to find his body 2 weeks later because he hasn't been picking up his mail?
I'll tell you.
What happens?
So what I've done
is that a fair question?
I think so. Yeah, fair. Absolutely. So fortunately, I can't. Most people aren't going to be affected if I just say sleep. Right? I have to induce them first. So I have to get them in hypnosis first.
Sure.
And so I've hypnotized him before, and the instructions I give him under hypnosis is that if it's an appropriate time and you want to be hypnotized, then every time that I say sleep, you'll go into a deep hypnotic trance.
Okay.
And so he has to be ready for it. So yeah, there are safeguards, and I also tell him if we get disconnected, you'll just awaken refreshed and with no.
So you really have to think
effects.
of some of those, for lack of better words, backdoor scenarios as far as
absolutely.
What happens.
Yeah.
See, I should do that with my other job as a designer. I should say every time I say pay me, the PayPal transaction for a milestone just pops right through my phone.
Right?
Like that looked great. I'll say cha-ching on my phone. This is fantastic. I feel great today. Cha-ching. Right? No, I don't think there's anything there. Okay. Next question: who inspired you in your career?
Who inspired me? Well, let's see. Tony Robbins was like this huge thing for me when I was younger. I used to, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. Someday I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to title it "Diary of a Loser," because that's what my book was going to be. I was just headed on this path of just total loserdom, and my thought patterns, everything was just so messed up, and I really had to take some active steps to correct myself, and I was really inspired by Tony Robbins, and I thought there was a time when I was like, God, I would love to be able to do that, and now I do that. It's crazy, not to his level, of course, yet. I'm coming.
You're much better looking.
Oh, true, absolutely, yeah. I'm not quite as gigantic anyway. So, and so like him, there's a few hypnotists out there that I really enjoy. Justin Trans is one. He's a comedy hypnotist, also a hypnotherapist. There's a lot of comics. My first taste of stand up was Steve Martin.
Oh, okay.
And it was the
King
Tuts,
a good taste. Yeah.
I used to listen to that album all the time. King Tut song that he sang with the arrow through his head kind of a thing and all that. And I desperately wanted to be a stand-up comic, but I thought there was just no way I could ever do that. I could never get up on stage and tell jokes. Sure. It seemed impossible. Wow. And then look what's possible.
Very cool. Okay, so kind of a segue. Who inspires you today? And you are supposed to say LAF Tech. No.
Yeah, I mean, there's
who's
Marcelle
actively?
Allen.
Yeah.
I'll take Justin Trans actually does. I want to take some classes with him. I do his. He's got an online program that I follow. He inspires me. There's also a hypnotist, Richard Barker, who's on all the TV shows right now. He's on a lot of different TV shows. Very inspired by him. Tony Robbins still continues to just inspire me all the time. I mean, the changes with the stuff he's done to help people. Wayne Dyer did too. I'll tell you one of the things that I sort of don't that kind of turned me off to Wayne Dyer and then a couple other of the speakers like him was I remember one time Wayne said something like he goes, I was about 10 or something and I wanted to do this and I was always really good at getting myself to do things and I was like, oh, he was always an awesome dude. He was always.
You can say badass.
Oh, okay. He was always he was always a badass. Like I want the guy that was a total loser that turned his life around. That's what really inspires me. And there was another one that I was listening to one time, and this guy goes, I was listening to this podcast. I used to love it a lot, and this guy was like, I decided I was going to. I'm sorry, I spit all over you. I think
it washes off. Back team, please.
Don't wash it. Don't wash it. Okay. And he was talking about, I decided I was going to exercise every day for 30 days. And I knew I could do that because I'm like, I don't want the guy that knew he could do it. I want the guy's like, it's going to be a struggle. It looks like Marcelle can relate a little bit.
I drop a pencil on the ground, and I honestly think to myself, I could walk to the other side of the room and grab another pencil.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm inherently getting exercise with that. Right. But if I get down on all fours, unless I'm grabbing for money, I'm not getting back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Typical Saturday night for you. But,
so I could be an inspiration there.
That's right.
I've stayed a loser.
So, I also, I'll tell you the and this, I mean, for some people it sounds kind of funny, but Dr. Phil, I find him, his style.
The hair, right?
It is the hair, yeah, and the mustache. Oh, if I could grow a mustache like that, oh, man. But because because at least when he first started, I think it wasn't as sensationalized as it is now. Yeah. Like with the How About Now girl, or How About Catch Me Outside, whatever it is. But really making significant change in people's lives, and also with teaching them the way to think like a successful person, and not to get wrapped up in your just negative thoughts and things like that.
All those demons, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Okay. All right, so we are at the best part of the podcast, which is...
This is where I get naked.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, I have to put my shirt back on?
Where's the off button? Quick, anybody. These are the 3 random questions that everybody that we interview on these podcasts gets.
I have not heard these, people.
You have not heard these at all. Really completely unprepared.
Totally
You stood up straight because for some reason that's necessary. All right. I'll start you off with the hardest one first.
Okay.
What is one of your biggest pet peeves?
One of my biggest pet peeves. Oh, boy, I got so many.
I didn't say psychological issues. I said pet
peeves. Okay, just one. I'll just say people that ask questions on Facebook that they could have Googled.
Oh.
When they ask me if I post like a venue or something, they go, "Where's that at?" Oh.
I hate that too. I really do.
In the time, folks, that it takes you to type that, you could Google that. So I try to be nice, though, because they're asking about where my show is at.
Sure.
So, but other things, if you put a reference in there and they're like, "Oh, what's that about?" And I catch myself. Sometimes I'll start to ask them about, "No, I'm going to Google it." And then I can have a well-reasoned response.
There you go.
Yeah.
Education.
I'll say that's my.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Shoots across the screen in the background. Okay. What is your favorite place that you've traveled to, whether national or international?
Well, let's see. I gotta say, well, there's Bothell. There's this Mexican restaurant.
We're ahead of the curve. Sorry, go ahead.
There's this place. So whenever I do hypnosis with people, one of the things I ask them is, "Where's your favorite relaxing place?" And because I want to try and recapture that place for them to get into hypnosis. And for me, that place is, I don't know where it is. It was a place that in hiking club in high school that I went to because we're pretty girls in the thing. Unfortunately, I wasn't very fast, so I couldn't catch them because they were hiking much faster. So It's the reason why guys do everything. Can I tell you that?
Hiking club to billy club. And it's like sitting on the side of the road.
Everything in my life has been inspired by trying to pick up chicks. Oh. But, I mean, try to have meaningful conversations.
Can you imagine that? Can you believe this guy is still single? Everybody.
It's crazy.
This is incredible.
It's crazy.
I'm going to date him by the end of the show.
So I believe it was on this hike, and it was this meadow of wildflowers.
Okay.
And there was like a little creek, and I can still the purple flowers and everything. It was just the most wonderful place I've ever been. And I think it was down by Mount Rainier. I want to go explore it sometime.
Okay.
Figure it out. But I mean, this has been 30 years since I was there, and I can still remember it.
So now that it's legal, are you sure that this wasn't just a 420 exercise and then a bad trip, and after you watch The Sound of Music or something? Or is this
maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's why I can't find it.
It's all in your head, Jim.
Where's that dancing lady?
Okay.
She was singing.
All right. Last question. If you could be known for one thing only, and this is during your living years, and or if necessary, someday, God forbid, you pass on to whatever's next. If you could be known for only one thing, what would that be?
Changing people's lives.
Aww. That's the first non-funny answer.
Oh, sorry.
Best.
Pull my finger. Quick, somebody.
Pull my finger. Okay, changing lives.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's honest, sincere answer.
And whether it's giving somebody a bright day from laughing, or for helping them to see things in a different light, that just stop seeing things in a negative way, or something like that. Just something like that.
Fantastic.
God, I really brought the room down, didn't I?
I love that. We're going to end it on a thank you note, and then a quick promotion. Tell us where you are next in the local Seattle area.
My next public performance is at LAF's Comedy Club in the U District in Seattle on the 25th, doing my comedy hypnosis show.
Fantastic. Okay, so Marcelle and I think I can speak for you as well. Thank you so much for being part of the LAF Tech family, for making the second of our big venue events successful. You've been a joy. You're funnier than hell. Your hair looks fantastic today.
Thank you.
It's spot on, as people will see with the little group picture we'll do at the end. If anybody wants to learn more about humor, about skills, have some breakthroughs, get in touch with Jim Kellner. The best way to reach you is how?
My website, Jim Kellner Hypnotist. So it's Kellner, or just Facebook, actually. Either one. Jim Kellner.
And how's this for a segue? Jim is part of our LAF Tech app.
Oh, that's right.
People can download the app. Just go onto iOS or Android and type in LAFTECHNW. Download the app. We're in the process of doing some upgrades to it, but you can at least have all of the LAF Tech presenters, all their information, links to their video, dedicated YouTube channels, as well as other social medias and websites, depending who provided what. But that's another great way to get in touch with Jim. And then if you're in the greater Pacific Northwest area, we publicize any of the promotions or projects we have going on. Other than that, again, I wanted to thank you very much, Jim. We're going to wrap up with the soundbite here. But again, you've been a phenomenal contributor. I appreciate you taking the time for the podcast today. And, kind of like what we kind of always say, thank you so much for laughing with us.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.